It's fast, I know that, but how many seconds?
Not yet, President. Look. What time you got?
Just barely 6:29.
Oh, cool. I got 6:24
What's that?
here.
Blue, green, pink, white. You don't want pink. Blue, green,
No,
white.
blue.
Blue?
I'm a guy, blue. Come on,
Here, don't open it.
I only know one color.
Don't open it. This is blue? Yeah, that's blue. And you already know you.
Is it a pen?
You can't open it yet.
Okay, yeah, let me, get on. You on?
Oh, Nicole. I'll tell you during the meeting. Wait.
She's got a special thing for you.
Is it a toothbrush? Looks like a toothbrush.
Okay. Yeah, mine is pink.
But does it not look like a really bad toothbrush holder?
I got my pink and green.
Everybody good?
Yes, sir.
1 minute.
Everybody good down here?
And he's logging on right now.
Are we recording yet, or?
Recording in progress.
Let me get on. I'm not on either in here. My turn on.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the WCWD meeting. It is Wednesday, May 7th. Madam Clerk, could you please take roll?
Director King Meredith,
Present.
Director Alvarado. Here. Director Weiner,
Present.
Meredith,
President.
President Rantila.
Here.
Mr. President, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Could you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, or you may observe a moment of silence, seated or standing. President Alvarado Director Alvarado will lead us through Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. So now that we've gone through roll call and Pledge of Allegiance, can you tell us how many speakers we have online, just out of curiosity?
How many speak? Well, we'd have to ask if there are any speakers.
Are there any speakers online?
We should check. So, you're looking just, are you looking for a number of speakers or just attendees? Attendees?
Attendees.
Okay, all right. 3.
Thank you. General Counsel Nicole Witt will serve as our parliamentarian for tonight's meeting.
As a reminder to members of the public in attendance, the board has adopted rules governing the conduct of its public meetings. Public participation is welcome and encouraged. All public comments should be addressed to the board as a body, and the board asks that you please respect the 3-minute time limit per speaker. All persons attending board meetings shall observe the rules, any additional rules the board may establish, and the orders of the president with respect to the conduct of the meeting. No person may disrupt or disturb the board meeting. Disturbing, impeding, or otherwise preventing the orderly conduct of the board meeting could result in an individual's removal from the meeting.
Thank you. Directors, before we begin with tonight's agenda, I ask that you be mindful of the board's rules of decorum, in particular to practice civility and decorum in discussions and debate. In order to preserve the order of this and every board meeting, directors will wait to speak until they are recognized and will restrict their comments to the motions and agenda items under consideration. Thank you. Members of the public may comment during this time up to 3 minutes per speaker. Directors may briefly respond or ask clarifying questions, but may not engage in discussion regarding public comment made during this time. Now is the time for public comment on this on items not on the agenda. Madam Clerk, have we received any written comments or requests to speak for tonight's meeting?
We have not. If anyone wishes to speak, please approach the podium or raise your hand in Zoom. Seeing none, we have no public comments.
Thank you. Assistant General Manager Justin Lovell is attending. I'm sorry, General Manager Andrew Clow is attending WEF's Residual and Biosolids Conference. Deputy General Manager Justin Lovell is acting in his place. Mr. Lovell, could you please lead us through the agenda?
Right, the consent calendar consists of items 1 through 3 on the agenda. Madam Clerk, have we received any written comments or requests to speak on the consent calendar items?
We have not. If anyone wishes to speak on consent calendar items, please approach the podium or raise your hand in Zoom. Seeing none, we have no public comments.
All right, if there are no comments, we recommend the board approve consent calendar items 1 through 3.
Okay, are there any questions or comments from the board?
I move the item, Mr. President.
Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you. Madam Clerk?
On the motion by Director Director Alvarado, and seconded by Director King Meredith to approve consent calendar items 1 through 3. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The motion passes 5-0.
All right, next on the agenda is regular calendar item 4, to approve West County wastewater user fee study. Madam Clerk, have we received any written comments or requests to speak on item 4?
We have not. If anyone wishes to speak on regular calendar item 4, please approach the podium or raise your hand in Zoom. Seeing none, we have no public comments.
Have Maria Bagley, our finance manager, introduce the item, and we do have a speaker or a presenter from NBS.
Good evening, Board of Directors. I'm Maria Bagley, the Finance Manager. Tonight, we're going to be talking about user fee studies, and we have Nicole Kissam from NBS, the Director, who has done user fee studies for several years. So, Nicole.
Thank you, Maria. Good evening. Wonderful to be here with you this evening. My name is Nicole Kissam. I'm a director at NBS. Been working on these types of fees and charges in California for about 20 years. Just going to go through a brief presentation. Is my volume okay, or am I a little loud? Good? Yes. I feel like I'm echoing. Okay, great. I'm just going to go through a brief presentation for you guys about the methodology and outcomes of the fee study we performed for you. We did go through this with the Finance and Advisory Committee, and it's basically the same presentation for the full board this evening. Okay? So let's see here. Just making sure my tools are okay. So we're just going to cover, the goals of a fee study, what the industry standard approach is to a fee study, what the summary of results is for the district, and then, of course, open it up for any questions you might have. So really, when we do a fee study, the overall goal of the fee study is first to understand what the full cost of providing services is. And then step 2 is to bring that information to the board for policy direction on how to actually set the fees, either at or below that full cost recovery amount. So fees, the types of fees that we're looking at here, these are really cost recovery opportunities. These are revenues that can be implemented through public hearing by the board of directors. And what we're not looking at here, which sometimes there's so many different types of fees and charges in California, what we're not looking at here is anything that's a tax. We're not looking at utility or commodity rates. And these are also not development impact fees. So these are really fees for, permits, permits of, regulated activities or requests from the public for a specific service. These fees are governed by the California Constitution. Article 13C, Section 1E is the area of the constitutional authority that kind of defines the definition between when a fee is a fee and when a charge is a tax. And for the most part, just to really generalize that, a fee is a fee and not a tax as long as it doesn't exceed the cost of providing services. So that's really what this study is about, is studying the district's cost structure and the cost of providing services. So we looked at 2 fee programs for the district. One are the fees charged by planning and support services, and the other is the fee program under your environmental compliance division or service providing area of the district. So the types of fees we looked at are, fees for annexations, plan approvals for sewer permits, for building construction, environmental compliance inspections, and some temporary discharge permits and other fees. So really the top 2 are under that planning and support area, and the bottom 2 on the slide are under the environmental compliance area. So the project approach, how we look at the cost of providing services, this is an industry standard approach that's been around in California for decades. I've been doing this work for 2 decades, and somebody had to teach me, right? So it's been around for a long time. And basically what we do is we collect some basic information, some budgetary information, some staffing information, and we proceed to look at what the list of current fees is charged by the district in these areas, and we ask, are there any fees that need to be added, removed, or restructured for a number of reasons? So we go through that conversation with staff, and in this case, there was a little bit of everything, a little bit of restructuring, some adds, and some deletes. From there, once the services are that we're studying, we start to look at the district's cost structure. So we look at total annual cost of each fee program, and we make sure that we're targeting recovery of costs that are in the fee program, not costs that are not eligible for the fee program. So we look at that on an annual basis, we look at that on an hourly basis, and then we look at that on what we call a per unit basis, which is really just individual fee basis. And from there, once we have that information and we've iterated to where the district feels comfortable with the assumptions and NBS feels comfortable with the outcomes, we bring it to the board for approval. So data needs or basic data needs, we look at adopted budget and staffing levels. We look at 1 year of activity for each fee for service. So how many did we charge or how many do we perform? We look at time estimates, which is a conversation about the time on task it takes to provide each individual service. And then, of course, we look at the current fee schedule. So those are really kind of the 4 core components of the fee study and the data that goes into it. When we look at the fee structure, there's a couple different types of fees out there. There are what's called flat fees, which is just a one-time charge for a service or a permit. Fee is paid once, permit is issued or denied, or the service is provided, and that's it. There are some fees that need to be structured by certain criteria, even though they're still flat fees or one-time fees, such as number of lots or number of parcels or certain types of criteria. Sometimes it's cost of construction. And then for cases where there is no fee identified or where a service might be particularly complex or unknown, then there's kind of a deposit and time and materials billing system that's available. So those are the 3 most common types of fees or ways of charging for local governments. When we look at the total cost of providing services, I think it's good to just talk about what that means. So we're looking at district-wide costs. So some of the costs, like salaries and benefits associated with an inspector that might perform a field inspection, are very obvious, but there's also other types of costs associated with that hour in the field, such as non-labor supplies and supervisory cost and district overhead cost for finance and the general manager and legal support and so forth. So we do a cost allocation exercise that really looks at all the costs. From there, we take that information and we divide it by the number of hours available in the fee program to get a cost per hour. And here we came up with $387 per hour for planning and support services and $309 per hour for the environmental compliance program. Then the per unit cost calculation is really simple in essence. It's the time to complete multiplied by the hourly rate, and that's what sets the maximum fee amount. And to get that time to complete, we talk with staff about what their workflow is and what the level of service is that they're providing for each individual request that is charged, that we're charging a fee for. So what we have now in the back of the report in Appendix A and probably as part of the staff report is at the individual fee level, what is the full cost of providing service and what are we currently charging? And if you look at those fees, there's probably 20 or 30 fees. Some are recovering about their amount of costs, some are under recovering their costs, and there's a few that need to come down in order not to exceed the cost of providing services. And I just want to say that that's a very typical outcome of any fee study that we would perform. When we look at, hundreds and hundreds of fees, there's always some that go up, some that come down, some that stay about the same. I don't think I need to cover Appendix A. It's probably pretty obvious. I mean, and then on an annual basis, so the districts, my slide, hang on a second, let me get my bearings here. So on an annual basis, or this is kind of the total outcome of the study, the district right now collects about $400,000 in fee revenue, and we're projecting that the district is eligible overall to collect about $589,000 in revenue. So recovering about 70% of the cost of providing services. So if every fee in the fee list was adjusted to 100% cost recovery, then there would be about $190,000 in additional costs recovered on an annual basis. That's an estimate. From here, I'll just open it up for comments or questions. That's just a high-level overview for you. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to ask Vice President Sutter, as Chair of the Finance and Administration Committee, do you have any questions or comments?
Yes, sir, thank you. We did receive this presentation at our FNA meeting on the 17th of last month in quite a bit of detail. And so, and Director King Meredith, I'm gonna ask if you have any questions as well. And thank you for the presentation and for some of the things we asked about. I think that one of the questions we asked about was we asked for it to be kept very high level, President Antila, because we didn't want to have a user fee study class here at the board meeting.
How did I do? Was it high level enough?
It was great. So I wanted to say thank you again for that. I did want to ask you to point out to the board again, when was the last time that we did this?
Justin, I think.
I can answer to that. I don't know if
I know when it
Nicole
was, but I
remembers,
wanted you to tell everybody.
The last time this type of fee study was conducted was 2018. 2018. So 7 years ago.
Yes, and why are we doing it?
Well, I'll just go ahead and answer that one for this is kind of a best practice is to review our fees or our structure, periodically. Just as in the last 7 years, a lot has changed with the organizational structure. Our cost structure has changed, and so it's good for us to, if you see in the appendix of the report of the changes on some of the recommended for our current costs, which are different than where they were 7 years ago.
And just so you know, board, some of these questions are for us, but a lot of this is going to be for the public to know why we're doing these things. There was a comment that some fees are higher and some are lower. How do our fees compare to neighboring agencies? But there was a comment that was made at the FNA committee about that, but then I wanted to make sure that we're careful about that, because it's not necessarily comparing apples to apples, correct? sir?
That is correct. And so that, it was not part of the NBS study, was, they didn't compare. We did our own internal review looked at some neighboring agencies. There's quite a bit of, it's difficult to compare to make sure is another agency, sanitary district agency fee, are they charging for exactly the same thing that we are? And it is very, without going into like the detail and having in-depth meetings with other staff members, it is kind of difficult to make that apples to apples comparison. But we did do a review where we could, just to see, where our fees compare. But it's, as part of the discussion on the F&A committee, we wanted to make sure, our costs are our cost. And so it's, that is what the cost is to provide that service here.
Can you repeat just that part?
So our costs are our cost.
That part.
That's it.
That part. I just want to make sure that part was on the record. Our costs are our costs, right? We're not making them up, and that's that's our point of reference, is that our costs are our cost. And there was something else about the annexation fees and plan approval, but that anything that's not paid for, right? When you go back to the slide, the summary of results slide, and it said the district is currently recovering approximately 68% of the costs associated with providing the fee-related services, which leaves about 32%. Can you tell us what happens with that 32%? Where's it coming from?
From other revenue sources, whatever those might be.
So anything not paid for is paid for by?
It's the ratepayer. I'll ask.
Can you
I'll
say it
answer
on
your
the,
question.
I want to
So
say it in
those
the
would
mic.
be through the ratepayer.
Yeah.
Just the general fees.
Yeah, I want the
rate
ratepayers
fees.
to know. Anything that's not paid for is being paid for by the ratepayers, right? So if somebody is not paying, somebody else is paying, right?
We are paying.
Sir, we are paying. So I just wanted to make sure we're being clear that we're not like, the cost recovery that Ms. Kissam is talking about is, we're not telling people to do something that they shouldn't be doing. It's what they should be doing, right? Correct?
Well, I think that was our discussion on the F&A committee, is that those who are bearing the cost should pay what it costs for that service.
And that's what, and then the other thing is, we did talk about what's the affordability for small businesses or for small residences, and how do we get to 100%, whether we do the jump or we do the creep to get it there, right?
We did talk a little bit about that, but I think as a committee, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you did discuss that you wanted to have 100% cost recovery. And the other item is, we do have a sewer lateral grant program called PIPES.
We do.
So those the majority of permits are related to sewer lateral repairs and improvements. And so as a program, there is an opportunity for many homeowners, which is the majority of our service area. Most of our connections are single-family homes, that there is an opportunity to apply for a partial reimbursement of the cost of repair of the sewer lateral.
Exactly. If that is burdensome to keep people from being at the 100% level. Director King Meredith, did you have anything to add?
Only that, when we looked at slide 35, for the workflow, and how it was calculated, the numbers of the hours and stuff, and I think we talked about, I'm so sorry. I'm just talking.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, now, let me
It's
reiterate.
the per unit cost
The per
calculation
unit,
one.
yeah.
With the circle? It's the one with the circle.
Is, yes, it's
One
number
more.
35.
That one,
Yeah.
that one.
So the calculations for that, and then we also talked about that and how you come up with how the calculations is done and the maximum fee and how that worked, which flowed into the next one, that we looked at 36, and we talked about a 36, that some are over, and some are under, and then some are just, across the board, they stay as the same.
Right.
So in order to, just to have that known, that to look at the current, to look at the current monies that are being received at this point, at the 68%, I think it's 68%. And in order to follow up to what we're looking at in the future for collecting for the 100%, and where it's standing, looking at the $190,000. So we all talked about that, and I just want, to reiterate that, okay?
Yeah, and I think the only other thing that I wanted to say that I found interesting, and thank you for
Yes,
for
and
for
thank
the
you, I'm
work. I
sorry.
did find interesting that the fully burdened rate was 387 for planning, but only 309 for environmental. Which I thought it would have been flipped. But, yeah, it was higher for planning than for environmental, which.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's how the numbers worked out when we factor in all of the, additional administrative support costs, and those who may be involved in the different services. And, because it's looking at salaries, it's looking at kind of the indirect administrative support costs. And so that's kind of that's how it came out.
Yeah,
And so, yeah, so slightly higher on the planning support services versus environmental compliance.
It was just really,
Yeah.
it was just it was just interesting to me because I would have thought before I saw the numbers, I mean, I'm a big data person, so I'm gonna go with the data. But it just, at first glance, I would have thought the environmental would have been higher, but, sir?
Yeah, and if I also just want to just clarify on the process of this. So this is, we're asking the board tonight to adopt this study, but the actual adoption of the fee schedule would be part of our annual budget process, which will be going to the board in June, in next month. So that's when the board would vote on the actual rates, user fees for fiscal year '26.
But this study leads to that.
Correct.
That's what we understood, correct?
Yep.
Yes. So with that was all the committee had, sir.
Thank you. Director Weiner?
Yeah, thank you. So I looked at the study, and my question was, did we use the same methodology for our last rate establishment? And the answer was yes. And then I thought, okay, so there's a big increase between then and now. And I thought, so how come? And first thing that came to mind, of course, is inflation. So I looked up the inflation, but inflation didn't really cover the increase. A big portion of it, yes, but not, I don't think more than half of the increase. And so I asked Justin what might have contributed to the difference. And the simple answer is that our costs have increased since then. We have higher, our labor costs, our organizational costs, our overhead has all increased since then. So our district has gotten basically bigger, and that explains why we have higher fee costs. Of interest to me. Then I read that we're going to go 100% recovery, and so there'd be a significant jump in the fees, a lot of the fees. I just glanced over the raw data, and I saw a few that were over 50%. And I think permitting, our regular permitting was some of the highest. And so within the text of the study, it pointed out that there's a risk in raising fees, which is that the people may not apply for the service. They'll look at the cost and say, let's not do it. Let's not get a permit, let's not have an inspection, let's do it on the slide, let's do it outside on the black, and, which is a concern. And so I thought, well, we need to recover our costs. They are our costs. Our costs are our costs, I think I heard. And so I would like to see us like do a baseline of what our monthly fees, requests for service are now, and then track it for a little while after we've actually raised the fees, so we can see if we indeed have a reduction in requests. And then we can kind of guess that maybe it's due to the high price, but at least we'll be looking into it to see. If we don't see a change, great, we're going to recover all our costs, and we don't have to reconsider our fee schedule. But so that's my only thought on the whole thing. Otherwise, I support, the 100% recovery, but I'd like to track it to make sure we're not losing business because of the price.
Thank you. Director King Meredith, do you have anything else you'd like to?
No, not only, excuse me, President Urtula, only that what we discussed in the committee,
Thank you.
and I'm fine.
Thank you.
Okay.
Director Alvarado?
Yeah, I'd just like to ask the chair of the committee, did you guys get everything out of this report that you were looking for?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So you think all the information was brought out to the forefront? Sounds like it was.
I do.
Okay.
I do, and
Presentation, the
especially
presentation, yeah.
today, I'll do other questions and then simplify the information in the acronyms. Thank you. That was done. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Well, do you have anything you'd like to add, Vice President?
No, not at this time. When we're done, I'll make a motion.
Thank you. I don't know, this may be out of the realm, but I have questions and concerns. On Giant Road, we have a brand-new 28,000 square foot, 2-3-story cannabis warehouse that's got a huge amount of volume going out. And then I was just in a meeting for the Hilltop Horizon specific plan. They talked about a huge amount of density, 10-story apartment buildings, and I'm just wondering, is there a calculation for volume, and does that volume equal increase in fees, or do the fees stay constant?
I can go with that, President Rentila. I think what you're referencing is, would be mostly related to our sewer capacity charges. So that would be a new connection to the system. And this study did not cover the sewer capacity charge, which is essentially if a new user, they're building a new building, they're increasing the amount of wastewater that could go into the system, there's essentially a buy-in cost that they would have. These user fees would be more of, maybe there's an existing building, or it would be kind of as it is. So I think what you're referencing, or the potential development at Hilltop with the specific plan that the city is working on, and new development, so that there's kind of further along horizon studies that we would
No pun
need to
intended,
take.
horizon.
Horizon, yeah, in the horizon, yeah. With the specific plan, it's those are kind of separate issues of really looking at the capacity of our sewer system and having a developer pay the share of any increased capacity that they would be contributing.
Yeah, because I was also concerned with current apartment complexes, like we have one in this neighborhood with over 1,000 apartments that is owned by a corporation. And is that corporation paying the same amount as someone that is not a corporation?
And so what they would be paying, that was also outside of this as a user fee study, what they'd be paying annually would be the sewer rate. So there is a separate fee for apartments. So a small apartment complex with 4 units, per apartment would pay the same as a large apartment complex with 1,000 units. I mean, it would pay per unit. So like the larger apartment complex would pay more money because there's, it's the rate times 1,000 versus the rate times 4. That's a different study that we're actually going to be pursuing in the next several months. We'll be going to the board relatively soon for a consultant to conduct the sewer rate study, which will be looking at those fees. So this is just one component of all the fees that we collect.
And I said this question might be out of the realm, but yeah, and I appreciate the clarification. Thank you. Thank you. There any other comments? No, have we taken public comment? Yeah.
We did the beginning,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, we did. Yes.
Okay. Sir, I would like to move this item to approve, let me make sure I get this wording right. To approve the West County wastewater user fee study as presented by staff.
I'd like to second
And I will say.
He said he second already.
the second.
You a second, second?
Thank you. Thank you. Madam Clerk?
On the motion by Director Suddeth and seconded by Vice President Suddeth.
Oh, it's the
And seconded by President Rentila to approve regular calendar item 4 as presented. Those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say no. The motion passes 5-0.
Thank you so much, Ms. Smith.
Thank you.
Appreciate
you.
your work.
Next on the agenda is regular calendar item 5, to approve a contract with Municipal Maintenance Equipment Incorporated for the purchase of a CCTV inspection truck and a CCTV camera for a total amount not to exceed $521,425, and a contingency of $52,143 for unforeseen changes, including cost increases resulting from changes in tariffs on materials or equipment. Madam Clerk, have we received any written comments or requests to speak on item 5?
We have not. If anyone wishes to comment on item 5, please approach the podium or raise your hand in Zoom. Seeing none, we have no public comments.
All right, I'd like to introduce Deputy General Manager Michael Savannah for a brief presentation.
Good evening. So, we're going to walk through a brief presentation this evening. The presentation essentially talks about our CCTV program, which is our gravity sewer or collection system assessment tool. We'll walk through that, and then we'll have a brief conversation about the recommendation, which is essentially to purchase a new CCTV truck and an additional camera for staff. So, our agency, as you all know, was established in 1921. We've got about 252 miles of gravity sewer in our system. One of sort of a nice anecdotal piece of information is we recently replaced the oldest pipe in our system. I think that was last year, and it was a pipe that was installed when the system came to be in 1921. So we're making progress. The diagram on the side just essentially shows you the life cycle of pipelines. I mean, essentially we install them, we do a bunch of, we design them, we install them, we do some maintenance work as we're operating them. We keep them going, we assess them, we figure out where we need to repair them, and then we eventually have to replace them because we can't continue to repair them. Then we plan, we design, we install, we start again. It's an iterative process, so it doesn't always go through this same circle. It could jump from that dark blue at the top down to the green and then back over to the light blue and kind of around and round depending on what's going on because life isn't always linear. Here, just wanted to talk a little bit about the different challenges we have in the collection system. Each of these is a different challenge that we deal with in the system in a slightly different way. We've got roots at the top, and we have some machinery that we use that goes in and cuts the roots out, some mechanical routing truck that has, root saws on them. Some agencies use root foaming and different chemicals. We don't currently use any of that in our agency. We could see the use of that in the future, but we don't currently use it. Wipes, which you all are well aware, cause a really big problem for us. A lot of times with the wipes, we have to deal with them a lot like the roots because they get so packed up in there and it's almost like paper mache. So it's really hard to break loose. You got the fats, oils, and grease, which we call fog. That gets in the pipe, and that's at the top right-hand side. It usually collects on the parts of the pipe that don't have much water moving through them. You can imagine we've got Restaurant Alley over here on Fitzgerald. Those pipes have a lot of fog in them, and those are pipes that we generally have to clean out a lot. You've got structural issues down at the bottom on the left. Usually we detect those, and then we go in and we do some sort of a spot repair, whether it be a pipe lining project where we go in and leave the pipe in place and we put a bit of a liner on the inside, real thin sort of material film that sticks to it and stays. Once it dries, we use the pipe a little bit longer. This pipe is in pretty bad condition. We'd probably go into that pipe, dig down, cut a section out, and replace it. A lot of that happens through our spot repair program that you guys see when you get the report from finance that shows where we're spending our money. And then you've got I&I on the right-hand side. And sometimes we get I&I from things such as joints in pipes that get old and worn out. Sometimes there are cracks in the pipes, offsets, things like that. All of these are different issues that we deal with in the collection system. How we deal with them is a little bit different. Primary maintenance tools that we use in this organization are rotting machines, which we talked about just a second ago with the roots. That's the truck at the top on the right-hand side. Essentially, that truck has a solid rod in it that's coiled up inside of that truck. Comes out through that piece of pipe that you see at the truck. Normally has a tool on the end of it. It could be sort of a corkscrew tool. It could be a root saw. It's blindly stuck in the pipe. It's ran through the pipe. If they bump into something, they just keep on spinning it until it starts moving. They pull it all back out. It's kind of like running a snake at your house, except it's for our big sewers. At the bottom, that's a hydro or a combo machine. That machine has that orange hose on the front, has high pressure water in it. That arm that's coming over the top is essentially a really strong vacuum. So we use that hydro machine to flush out the lines, and we use the vector to take all of the additional water or debris out of the line. A lot of times we use the hydro machine alongside our CCTV because we can use that high pressure water to pull the water that's in the pipe out of the way so that then our CCTV trucks have the ability to see a really clear picture of the inside of the pipe. We've got a couple of rotter machines out, and we've got a couple of hydros out on a regular basis. So this is our assessment tool. Our primary assessment tool is the CCTV truck you see here. The picture you see on the top left is a picture of what the operator inside that truck sees inside our pipes. They have essentially a small remote control camera. They stick inside of the pipes. Someone sits in the back of this truck and they drive it. There's a computer screen in front of them. They've got a couple of joysticks. They drive the camera through the line. They locate things like in this pipe, you can see at the top sort of right-hand portion, right where it says Avenue, you can see a crack there. That's something that our CCTV operator would be looking for. When they see that, they have to score these pipes and they make a determination. Is this pipe a score 1 or is it a score 4? Depending on what the score is, it gets a different priority in our it gives us a different level of concern. It gives us a different priority as to whether or not we need to address this pipe. You can see a little further up in the pipe, there's something at the top of the pipe. It's probably some grease. It also has some water dripping from it, so there's probably some I&I. These are all of the things that the operator inside of the truck will be looking at when they prioritize these pipes for repair or replacement. This is a very valuable tool. As you can see, if we go in and we do this first, before we rod this pipe, we probably wouldn't go through and rod this pipe. We'd probably go through and hydro this pipe. Let me go back for just a second. One of the things that I think is really important to talk about briefly here, the machine at the top, the rodding machine, we're blind when we use that machine. This machine causes friction inside the pipe, and every time we use this machine, we're essentially damaging our pipes a little bit, right? If you imagine you take this solid metal corkscrew and you spin it around inside of a clay pot that you have at home, it's going to scrape away portions of that pot. Sometimes we have to do that because that's the only way to get, roots and those sort of things out. But if we don't have to, we don't want to. So a big part of this report, a big part of this recommendation is about getting away from doing that and getting more into doing this, looking at the pipes before we go inside of them. The other thing I want to point out here is at the bottom, that machine uses potable water for the most part. So every time we use that machine, we waste a lot of potable water. We're trying to get away from that and get more into looking at what's in the pipe before we waste the water in the pipe. One of the things I have to give credit to our CSO as well as our plant staff. I think it was our maintenance staff and our operations staff both. A couple of years ago, we had this great idea of putting number 3 water into our hydros. Number 3 water is our recycled water that comes out of our plant. When we initially tried that, there were a lot of issues with the water clogging up the filters in our Vactor machines and our hydros. So plant staff and CSO staff worked together. They finally figured out how to make it work. So the first batch, I believe every day, they go down to the plant, they fill up with recycled water. Now, they don't go from one end of the district all the way back to the other to get more recycled water. The rest of the way, they're using potable water. So we're trying to reduce the amount of potable water. We're also trying to reduce the amount of unintended damage to our lines by using another CCTV truck as opposed to more riding and hydro machines. This talks about sort of our practice, and I actually just went through that. What we currently do is all of our lines are on a regular schedule. So you may have a line that's on a schedule to get cleaned every 6 months. We clean it every 6 months, whether it needs it or not. So part of what we're looking at with our adjustment and strategy, which is a big part of what this conversation is, part of what we're looking at with our adjustment and strategy is wanting to look at the lines and clean them when they need to be cleaned. You may have heard the term polishing pipe. It's really when you're going out, you're cleaning pipe that doesn't need to be cleaned, it's already clean. So what we currently do is pipes are on a regular schedule. They get cleaned on that regular schedule. We make adjustments to that schedule based on what debris gets pulled out of the pipe or does not get pulled out of the pipe. So if we go with that hydro machine, they launch it through one manhole, they go up to the next one, they pull all the debris back. If they see a bunch of junk in there, then they say we need to increase the schedule. If they pull it back and they don't see anything, they say this is probably a good schedule or we could reduce it. It's a very uninformed, for the most part, way of doing this in terms of the amount of technology that we have available to us today. It's a great way of doing this if that's all the technology that you have available to you. And these guys are really skilled at this, so it's not like they're doing a bunch of guessing. When they pull it back, they know, hey, those are bits and pieces of roots. We probably need to run a router through here. And then at the bottom, it just talks about the fact that most medium-sized agencies have a CCTV truck. They get through their system once every 10 years. We've got a commitment to get through our system once every 10 years as well, and we do a pretty good job. We've got some areas of our system that are really hard to CCTV, so sometimes they cause us challenges, but we do a pretty good job of getting through our system once every 10 years. These are just pictures of really old equipment. That combo truck in the middle doesn't look very different to the brand new one. It just looks old, but the new trucks essentially look very similar. There's a new truck. There's one at the top on the left. The difference with that truck, though, and the one that I just showed you is that truck at the top is a water recycler. So that truck will take one load of water in the morning. It'll do the hydroing. It'll vacuum, and then it'll use that water again, versus the trucks that we currently have. When you factor it out, it goes into a dump tank. There's no way for you to reuse it. So those are actually really efficient. When we had failure at Hilltop Green, a number of you may remember, this was maybe 2019. We had a vendor on some larger pipe cleaning for us, and they had a truck like this. And what we found is that their truck was actually sucking out 5 times as much as our trucks and a lot quicker than our trucks. But those trucks are really expensive. So really good technology. The bottom, there's a level monitor. We use something very similar when we do I&I studies, or we look at how much water is flowing through the pipe. We also use these a lot of times, and we have a number of these in our system right now, to tell us how much water is in the pipe and whether or not we are getting ready to overflow. I don't remember how many of these we have, but we have close to maybe 15 or so of these in our system. When we have really high rains, these have saved us a number of times. We can set the depth that we want to be alerted on, and when the water gets to that depth, it'll send an alert to a number of us on the team's cell phones. If the people who are on call will come out, they'll check that out, and a lot of times it's saved us from overflowing out of manholes because we notice the level is going up. We get in there, we clean it out, and the level goes back down. On the right-hand side, top right, that's an advanced camera. That's a high-tech camera. We have a camera very similar on our current CCTV, and this item requests a couple of these cameras with the new truck. Difference with the newer cameras that we're requesting is they have the ability to produce HD video, which will allow us to get a better picture inside the pipe. They also have the ability to record really good quality video at a faster speed, so we can run through the pipes a lot faster without getting blurry videos, which will allow us to CCTV a lot more pipes in a shorter amount of time while getting really high quality video. And another thing that they do, if you notice, that tractor there at the top has 3 black wheels on it. If we're doing a 6-inch line, that may be the setup. If we go to do a 12-inch line, our crew has to pull that all the way back out of the pipe, take those 6 black wheels off, put new wheels on. They may have to adjust the camera and then put it back in because essentially they want that camera in the middle of the pipe, right? So as the pipe gets bigger, they need to raise the camera up and get it to the middle of the pipe. If the pipe is slippery, like it's a plastic pipe versus a clay pipe, they may have to take that out, put some carbide or something like that, wheels on so it's got more grip and it can climb in the pipe. If it's going uphill, different things like that. You got to pull it out and adjust this. The new cameras that we're requesting, they actually have a system inside of the tractor that will allow the person at the desk inside of the truck to automated from the desk, raise that camera up and down to the center line of the pipe. So it's a lot more efficient. It prevents our staff from having to pull the camera back out. And every time they pull these cameras out, these cameras are not light. Every time they're pulling them out, you know, they're bending down, they're bending at the waist, they're reaching down in a manhole, pulling these cameras out. We do have a winch on the back of our truck, and sometimes they're able to use that, but they still have to get the winch down there and hook it up. So the other thing that it prevents by getting these higher quality and higher tech cameras is the repetitive stress on our staff to go in and go down in these manholes more than they need to. At the bottom, it's just something that we've been looking into recently and are just about ready to take it to our IT committee. It's just the use of AI to help us score the pipes. It's technology that's coming out. We are not currently using it. We do not currently have any commitment to use it, but it's something that we're looking at and we'll probably vet very soon through our IT committee. Current maintenance and assessment statistics for the last 5 years, we've done about 1.5 million feet of pipe cleaned every year. We've done about 180,000 feet of pipe CCTV'd every year. We have an average of about 12 spills every year. So current statistics on the left, our goals for the next 5 years on the right. So after procuring the new truck, should you approve that and the new cameras, our goal is about 1 million feet of pipe cleaned every year. Our goal for CCTV, you'll see a significant jump there. Our goal for CCTV is about 500,000 feet of line CCTV per year. Just those 4 stats there kind of tell you the whole story. We're looking to reduce how much we're cleaning and bump up how much we're cameraing, and then again, clean as we need to. We've got a very lofty goal at the bottom. We really want to get to 0 overflows every year. We wanted to talk about how we get to those goals without having overflows. So these are all examples of either overflows happening or areas that are sensitive that we want to make sure that we protect. This says aim for higher efficiency. We really want to aim for higher effectiveness. We're pretty efficient in the way that we do things. We want to be a little bit more effective. These are things that we want to do in terms of adjusting our maintenance schedules, and we'll adjust those to accommodate the additional CCTV work and the reduced amount of cleaning and hydroing work. We want to conserve more water. We want to increase how much we're monitoring. So we want to go back and put in some additional level monitoring. This item isn't really about that, but it is a part of the plan. And then we want to be able to purchase a new CCTV truck in lieu of a rotting truck. And the reason that that's there is just to sort of pose the point and give us an opportunity to mention to you, we were actually scheduled to purchase a rotting truck this year because we want to have a shift in our philosophy and how we're managing the collection system. Doesn't mean we won't need another rotting truck down the road, but what it does mean is every time a vehicle is up for replacement, not just an IMP across the organization, what we do is we look at what's the best use of that allocation. Do we need another rotting truck? Do we need a CCTV truck? If a truck is up for replacement, do we need another F-150? Do we need another F-350? Do we need a car? Do we need a gas or a diesel? Do we need an electric vehicle? So this is just a reiteration of that practice in the organization. So the recommendation here is to approve a contract with Municipal Maintenance Equipment Incorporated for the purchase of a CCTV inspection truck and a CCTV camera for a total amount not to exceed $521,425, and authorize the general manager to execute the same. Also to approve a contingency of $52,143 for unforeseen changes, including cost increases resulting from changes in tariffs on materials or equipment, and authorize the general manager to exercise the contingency if deemed to be in the best interest of West County Wastewater. That is it, and I'm here for any questions.
Thank you. That was a great report. That's in my sweet spot. I like it. So that being said, Director Alvarado, as Chair of the Infrastructure Operations and Environment Committee, do you have any comments, questions, or concerns?
No, just say thank you for the presentation. I thought it was a great presentation at our meeting, and you covered all the bases, even a little bit extra here, so.
Right.
I appreciate it. I would ask for questions from the other board members, Mr.
Thank you.
President.
Director Weiner.
Very entertaining. Even had jokes, I like. And very, very dry humor, I must say. This purchase makes a lot of sense based on the report. My concern with all of this new technology is that we don't use technology as a driver to replace our public worker employees. That would be my biggest concern about continuing to acquire the latest technology for doing the job. And I support the purchase, and but I am keeping in mind that I approved a resolution in support of public works employees as well. That's it.
Thank you. Director King Meredith.
Thank you, President Fertila, and thank you, our Deputy General Manager. It was a wonderful presentation. You really put the visual, although I read it and went through it, and I was very impressed with the report. To say that, and for your presentation for this evening was very commendable. I'm very in favor of this new technology. Looking in the comparison of the old equipment from way back when, and to see what we're working with now, and to actually have that equipment in place for any repairs that may come up with our standing tools that are maintenance tools are being used. And if one go down, we should have something like this in place at this point. So just seeing that and what has been shown tonight for the latest advanced technology, absolutely. I'm really in favor of it. To keep the constituents safe and healthy and to be right on point, this machine would do it. Right to us that are really thinking about what needs to be done. It goes right to the point of what needs to be taken care of. So thank you.
Thank you. Vice President Sudeth? Yeah, it's on.
Thank you. Deputy General Manager, I appreciate the presentation not to repeat anything anyone says, I do think that it is a matter of safety as well as, there was a saying that said, the old movie that says, you can have me at hello. I forgot what movie that is. What movie is that? You know, you had me at hello, you had me at saving portable water. As soon as you said that, I was like, well, okay, wait, I mean, you had me at this. Also, you had me at safety, saving people, saving potable water, and saving our, not having to do the extra, when you talk about every time you use the routing device, it chips away, it wipes, and that I think is one of the most important things, that and saving the potable water. But that, I think, cannot be underscored, is that every time we use that machine, not knowing if we need to use the machine or not is really, really important. Right? And I think that we need to make sure that the public understands that we're investing in the technology for that reason, but we're also investing in the technology because one of the things that I know from Director King Meredith was there with me when we took this tour in Southern California, and we saw these inspection trucks in action, especially in tight spaces. What do you call them? Not tight spaces. What's it called? General Counsel, confined space. Confined space is that it really is about the workforce and safety. These CCTV cameras save lives a lot of times when it's in confined spaces for our workers. My only concern, now I'm going to talk from my procurement hat, is that the 10%, and maybe General Counsel can speak to this, the 10% contingency, from my knowledge now, may not be enough. Now we're seeing, I just purchased a bunch of vehicles, fleet vehicles, and they're upwards of 15 and 18%. So I'm not sure that the 10% contingency is going to be enough.
Yeah.
So that's my only concern, and I wanted to say something. So I would like to amend the contingency request, if I may, to allow the general manager upwards of that 18%, if I'm allowed to, because I do not believe that this is going to cover the cost of this 2521, based on what I've seen with these vehicle purchases of this type.
Yeah,
So
and I can
that would
speak.
be my only concern.
I can speak to that a little bit, and we appreciate it. And, you know, if you want to amend the contingency, we will not stop you or try to argue with you. But we did take that into consideration. We didn't originally have contingency in this because we got the price from the vendor. But understanding that prices are fluctuating, we decided to put a contingency in. I mean, we're seeing some prices adjusted, you know, due to what's going on in the world right now. Some things are 40%. Right? We didn't want to come here with an unreasonable contingency, so we put in something we felt like was reasonable. The other thing that we did is we actually spoke to the vendor, expressed that concern, and one of the things that they have assured us is that as long as we get them a purchase order by June 1st, this will be the price. After June 1st, their prices are going up. So we definitely, the additional contingency will help us make sure that we are there, but we have some level of confidence that the vendor has told us they'll hold this price until June 1st.
Thank you. Do you want to make a motion, or are you comfortable?
It looks like Director Weiner has a question.
Yeah, I was going to say Director Weiner's finger in the air.
I misread this, and I was thinking, oh, they're going to be nimble, because I thought we were, in addition to the 52, we were going to go with, 521,000, we were going to go with an additional 52,000 in case the worst happened. So 18%, I didn't do a calculation. So Even at 52,000, I thought, oh, they're gonna stay nimble, they're gonna be, they're not gonna take any chances, we're gonna be able to purchase that device no matter what tariffs do. So,
President Ratila, could I interrupt for a second there? Just I wanted to go back before we move forward, is on a comment from Director Weiner about use of AI. I don't know if is about replacing, we're not necessarily this use of AI in this instance would really be helping our staff work more efficiently and effectively versus not replacing anybody. So I don't know if
Yeah, and it doesn't.
Michael likes to talk about that.
Even if we adopted sort of the AI in our scoring, our staff is going to go back and have to confirm what the AI put in. The AI is going to allow us to get through the pipes relatively quickly. It'll allow us to do more pipes in a shorter amount of time. And again, we are not doing that. The purpose in putting that in the presentation was just to say, technology is advancing, right? And as technology is advancing, we're trying to take advantage of some of that. That's something we're looking at. It may be down the road. I think the organization is still working on an AI policy. So there's no intention at all to utilize AI or any other technology to replace our staff. I mean, our staff is irreplaceable in that regard. Someone is going to have to go back and make sure that that AI put the right numbers in there. Someone's going to have to go back and make sure that that information makes sense. It'll just be a larger body of data for them to review than if a human did it, because the AI can go through and score it a lot faster. Still going to come back. There's still going to be someone that works for West County looking at that data and saying, yeah, it makes sense, or no, it doesn't. Let's go out and look at it again.
I knew we didn't have an AI policy, and I thought it was more of the future.
Yep, absolutely.
For the future, not what we were gonna buy.
Yep.
So that wasn't my concern. My concern is just the general idea of efficiency and where does that fall out?
Oh, I understand.
So
It's a concern all over the world.
But, yeah, I knew that didn't have anything to do with purchasing.
So before you make your amendment, or do you mind if I ask a few questions? Well, that's okay. Thanks. And then we'll definitely come back to that, because
You have the gavel.
well, yeah. And since we're talking about AI in the future, I'm hoping that we will be cross-training more individuals that use this type of equipment, so it's not just on at the feet of one person. It'd be great to cross-train other people to use this equipment.
So we started that several years ago. What we currently have is we have essentially 13 people in CSO. One's an inspector for the district. There's Gordon, who's the manager of the division. We have 2 field supervisors, and then we've got a number of crew members. Each field supervisor's crew focuses on something different. So half of our crew focuses on CCTV, half of our crew focuses on repairs and maintenance and those sort of things. Halfway through the year, there's an opportunity for them to switch, right? So everybody in our CSO team that wants to learn how to do this is learning how to do this.
The other thing I noticed was that was a double axle vehicle, and you can't use a regular driver's license to drive a double axle vehicle.
Yeah, almost everybody, I think everybody actually in our CSO crew is a Class A.
Okay, that's great. And then I wanted to ask, because this may speak to the amendment here, are they offering? First, I wanted to ask, how long is the camera length? Because I saw the one picture, it said 50 feet 7 inches. How long could it actually?
I don't recall the actual number on this one, but we've got runs of 500 feet, and we run those with our camera.
Okay.
Right? So we can probably get out about 400 and some change, and then it gets a little wonky. So we can do what we need to do with the machine.
Yeah, and I appreciate the safety aspect that my folks talked about, because at the end of the day, they used to send people in those holes to inspect everything, and you can inspect the pipes now, and if it doesn't need any cleaning, then you save yourself cleaning. So that does speak to efficiency. But I wanted to ask about the warranty. And are they offering any type of extended warranty, and how long is the warranty on the camera in the truck?
I'm not sure. I'd have to get back to you with that.
Because oftentimes they'll add, say, hey, we've got this extended package. It covers everything for an extra $20,000 or $5,000, whatever. So, yeah, I appreciate the thought of amending the amount, and with that, I'll throw it to Vice President Suddeth.
Thank you. So I move that we approve the contract with municipal maintenance equipment for the purchase of CCTV inspection truck and CCTV camera for a total amount not to exceed $521,425, and authorize the general manager to execute the same, and to approve a contingency of up to 18% of the purchase price for unforeseen changes, including cost increases resulting from changes in the tariffs on materials or equipment, and authorize the general manager to exercise the contingency up to that amount if deemed to be in the best interest of West County wastewater. Does that make?
If I could, instead of up to 18%, instead of up to 18% of the purchase price, because the purchase price will be what that needs to accommodate. So it would be up to 18% of this not to exceed amount, 521, yes.
Ultimate purchase price, not the, because it's a not to exceed amount, but of the ultimate purchase price. Does that make sense? Because he's negotiating the price, because it's a not to exceed amount, right?
Right. It is, but it's not, so it's going to be a fixed amount that we pay. So if we need a little bit more headroom, which is what that contingency is capturing, then that final price will include up to 18% from that 521,425 number. All right, excellent.
Madam Clerk, are you clear on that?
For everyone?
No, that's clear. And it's the advanced technology,
So up to 18% of that. Does, Madam Clerk, do you have that?
the advanced
If not,
technology.
sit next to the person who
So-
has it.
I'm gonna, so we're approving basically calendar 5 with an amendment to increase the contingency amount to up to 18% of the not to exceed amount. That's the
When it's
amendment.
purchased. yeah.
Everything else is the same.
Yep.
Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll
Seconded?
second it.
Oh, I'm sorry, who first, who second?
Yeah, because it's yours. Yeah, it's your committee. I'm sorry.
The motion was put forth by Vice President Suddeth and seconded by Director Alvarado.
Yes,
You guys are going to flip a
that's
coin?
yes.
Okay. So on the motion by Vice President Suddeth and seconded by Director Alvarado to approve regular calendar item 5 as amended, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The motion passes 5-0.
Thank you for the presentation. So moving on.
Yep. Next on the agenda is other business, item 6, reports from staff, general manager, and general counsel, which includes the April 2025 check register report and a brief report on tariff impacts on West County wastewater's budget. Madam Clerk, have we received any written comments or requests to speak on item 6?
We have not. If anyone wishes to speak on item 6, please approach the podium or raise your hand in Zoom. Seeing none, we have no public comments.
Yeah, so just very, very briefly, I'm going on the tariffs, as we just discussed, as the board just discussed, an impact. We made an amendment to a purchase for, to increase the contingency up to 18%. So it's real. I think it's something that we're continuing to review and to look at. This is a kind of request coming from the Finance Administration Committee. And on staff side, we're looking at what are potential impacts on our construction projects. As part of the budget, we're looking at, vehicles. And as we're paying attention to what's happening on the news, there seem to be changing all the time. And so it's just, there's a lot of uncertainty right now of what the cost impacts will be over the long term. And I think even reading several articles, business leaders are also determining the same thing, whether it's just kind of a wait and see approach and just monitor the situation, seeing what is going to be more of a long term. But there are tariffs on vehicles, there are tariffs on different products, and just anecdotally today we got a quote for furniture to add some new desk, and there was a line item in the quote for it said tariffs, and it was 5% of the cost, so it increased our the quote by 5%. So it's just to let you know, as a board, we're monitoring kind of what that impact is on our expenses and our budget. And as we have more information, we'll come back and provide reports on that. So happy to answer any questions you may, if there's any questions or comments from members of the board regarding the tariffs.
Director Weiner?
No, I have no comments, other than, I'm following the same news as everyone else.
Thank you. Director King Meredith?
No, I have none, but thank you, Deputy General Manager, for explaining that.
Thank you. Director Alvarado?
Yes, I do have the maybe question, comment. I knew you received a quote you said today with 5% for tariffs.
Correct.
Possibly. Is the company that we're using, are they purchasing American-made stuff? Because I would hate for this tariff situation to turn into some companies trying to take advantage of the fact that tariffs are out there, and there really is no tariff if they're American-made. So I just want to make sure that we're taking that into account when we're reviewing this stuff.
Yeah, those are things we'll have to continue to look at. The company we're purchasing furniture from is in the United States, and they do assemble, but I don't know where they source all of their raw materials from. So, yeah, which could be happening too, right? That's something we would need to keep an eye out for.
Okay.
I'd also add, currently what we're seeing is that some domestic markets are just matching foreign prices. There's a lot of sort of turmoil right now. I think the expectation, maybe the hope, is that over time that'll settle a little bit. But right now it is definitely difficult to get at what's a tariff impact, what's simply market response, what is, kind of general concern that folks are trying to protect against. It's a lot of lack of clarity.
Okay. Thank you.
Vice President Tariff?
I'm glad you keyed in on that, General Counsel, because I have the same question, because we've been seeing this and it's been some weird line items, because I was wondering the same thing. Like, I saw an invoice for personnel issue. Like, okay, so what does personnel have to do with it?
Yeah,
Exactly. Why am I getting a tariff line for, like a personnel or, I don't know, for when we order something or supply, it was just a general, it was just a one line, but I know that the materials were like here. And it was something that we ordered like all the time. And so, it could be pencils or something else. And it was just an overall line item. And I think it was just, and I felt that way too.
Yeah,
A lot
sure.
of people just taking advantage of the fact, like during COVID, where people just put one line item for, pandemic expenses or COVID expenses. So, yeah, I mean, maybe we can have like a legal trainer or something, but I just don't like a one line item, just a tariff, and it doesn't matter what it is. It just seems like everybody's putting it on there, and there's no justification. Right? So.
I think realistically, we're going to have to look at how to address this from several different angles and address all of the kind of eventualities, the existing contracts, the future contracts. What's the best way to mitigate the risk in a way that's fair and reasonable so that we don't get extra risk priced in unnecessarily. But I think the other thing that we also just need to very much rely upon is that competition will hopefully help to manage some of that as well. And so to the extent, our contracts at certain levels are competed in different ways, that price competition, that market competition should have some mitigating effect as well. But it's going to be a multi-pronged approach to figure out really how to address this. And I think realistically, West County is in the same situation as private companies, as other public agencies. We're all trying to figure out how to navigate this landscape, and it's going to be evolving.
Hey, There's always Craigslist, right? So anybody want to add or, okay, thank you. Moving on.
Just add one comment to say that
Director Alvarado has one comment.
you never know. Tomorrow morning, we could wake up and tariffs will be gone. So we should all need to take that into account as well. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
No, and I appreciate everybody looking forward and forward thinking and forecasting because the possibilities out there, and it's always good to be prepared. So, moving on.
So the other item from staff and general manager is that we are available to answer questions related to the April 2025 check register.
All right, are there any questions, Director Weiner? Director King Meredith?
No, I gave my comment. Oh, no.
None? Director Alvarado?
None.
Vice President Sadet? No, sir. And I'm good. Thank you.
The final item on the agenda is item 7, director's comments and meeting reports. Madam Clerk, have we received any written comments or requests to speak on this item?
We have not. If anyone wishes to comment on item 7, please approach the podium or raise your hand in Zoom. Seeing none, we have no public comments.
Thank you. As a reminder, directors will report on meetings they attended for which they are seeking reimbursement or compensation from WCW and other matters within the subject matter jurisdiction of the agency. Starting with Director Weiner.
Thank you, Mr. President. Since our last meeting, I met with the GM. I attended the Richmond City Council. I attended the West County Mayors and County Council member meeting. And at that meeting, East Bay Mud gave a presentation on their budget and state of their system. Much of what they said about their wastewater division was familiar to me because of our experiences here. They have aging infrastructure. They are trying to maintain fiscal responsibility. They have $3 billion in debt, and it's affecting the speed of their infrastructure replacement. Another thing of interest is all of the programs to help low-income customers. How does the law allow them to do this and prevents us from implementing subsidies based on income? How do they get to do that? And we were told that we can't subsidize some of our ratepayers with money from other ratepayers, but East Bay Mud manages to do that. I attended the El Sobrante Chamber and was asked to remind Kate about the stroll in August. But Kate's not here, so I guess I'll have to write her an email to remind her. I also attended the Richmond City Council again, and they too are beginning their budget cycle and had a overall briefing on the upcoming budget, and they were going to hold the line. They weren't going to add any new programs at the moment, and they weren't going to consider their new source of revenue yet. So it was an interesting beginning to their budget process. And that's my report.
Thank you. Director King Meredith.
Thank you, President Richila. I attended a couple of meetings and events since the last time we've met. One was the Shields Reed and it was the Shields Reed Earth Day that took place on the 19th, right after our last board meeting. And it was well attended. We had vendors there at Shields Reed. We had illustrations for looking at the different species that could be found in our Wildcat Creek under the microscope. Was very interesting. We had our Little League that was actually presented from community housing development. We had the shoreline also there. We had many vendors that, it was very good. It was Earth Day. We had to clean up Wildcat Creek part of it. We met at the A's ballpark right outside of North Richmond residence, and also it was a fun day. They had even a petting zoo and the whole bit, so it's all under the auspices of Earth Day. The other, I attended the MAC, which was last night, and it was, we talked about, matter of fact, we had a presentation from the Department of Toxics and Substance to get a survey out to the community about a permit that is needed, and it comes out every 10 years. And this permit is to make sure that Chevron, which Chevron is now called Chevron Environmental Management Company, that it is still in compliance with containing the pods that are in place to take care of the pesticides that are being released in storm-drained waters also. So this is looked at every 10 years. So it's up now for review to see that if everything is compliant. The last day to get the survey taken care is May the 15th. I think it's May the 15th. Well, I'm sorry, May the 16th. It's the last day to get any comments from the community for yea and nay for this permit, which is a necessity to have this permit in place. So that was presented at the MAC for one of the presentations. And then we had a presentation from East Bay Mud. Again, they come very often to share what is going on with their wastewater center, treatment center. As we know, we get our water from East Bay Mud, but also they represent Berkeley, Oakland, and Emeryville at this point, and they serve so many of that area with their treatment, their wastewater treatment plant. So East Bay Mud treats approximately 56 million gallons of waste daily from their 740 from 740 customers along the San Francisco Bay. So as we protect the public health and the environment. So it was very good. It was a very good, thorough recapture of what they do and what's down the, what's available, and was open for if anyone would like to take the tour. And I did mention that our Vice President Sudduth and I did take the tour, but be prepared to have good shoes and be prepared to walk for 2 hours. That's one of the things. They invited everyone, but we just want to make sure that they understand it is a walking tour, at least for 2.5 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So with that, and Lise, and lastly but not least, Vice President Sudduth and I participated in a STEM, S-T-E-M, event that took place Saturday from 11 to 4. And when I say 11 to 4, it was 11 to 4 nonstop. Thank you, Deputy Deputy General Manager. He came out, and it was a nonstop. I could say we entertained at least 30 to 35 children. Listen, 30 to 35 children per hour. Per hour. Multiply that by 6. Non-stop. I give kudos to our Vice President. She talked the whole time, non-stop, until she got hoarse. And she had to take a break, and I had to pick up. But it was so many children, spin the wheel, we had a stimulation of how it feels if the body was to intake or the environment to feel the toxics and the simulation to be uncomfortable, the uncomfortableness, and to see, allude to what we do as wastewater, how we go through the system of the wastewater, and where we derive from one system and what we do and where we get for clean water. So the simulations there, the scientific information was there. I was more or less the layman for the children to understand as we went through the demonstration, but it was well received, well received. So I'd like to thank all the help that we got from our staff, that actually with us before we did the presentation and at the presentation. So I'm pretty sure our vice president will convey a little bit more on it, but it was excellent. It was tiring. We need more support, more support, but it was well received Saturday in Antioch. Okay?
Thank you. Director Alvarado.
Sure. Okay. I attended a meeting with Attorney Warner regarding a closed session matter. I attended a meeting with Daniel Keene regarding our general manager and the evaluation. I attended the mayor's conference in Pleasant Hill, where we were given a report by Ed Mudd, which included, get ready for this, anticipated rate increases. Great news, huh? Meeting with the San Pablo Council was a very, very short meeting, but they did give the San Pablo Police Department an award for their excellent service to the citizens of San Pablo. And I can attest to that excellent service because I live there. I also attended the North Richmond MAC as well, which Director King Meredith has already stated what was happening there. So I have nothing further to add about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Sudeth.
So I'm going to presume it's on.
Yes.
Press that little button there.
Is it on?
Oh, there it is.
It's on now, okay. All right. So, a lot of meetings. Quite a few Richmond City Council, El Cerrito City Council, and Contra Costa Board of Supervisors meetings, including the Contra Costa Board of Supervisors budget hearing that just occurred. A lot going on there, including the rescission of the North Richmond grant that the federal government had already promised us, signed the contract, issued a check from EPA, and then took back. So we're fighting for that one. And we're going to meetings for it. So keep you posted on this one. Also attended several events during the last 2 weeks of April for National Volunteer Week, Public Health Awareness Week, which included information on why it's important to have non-toxic water and wastewater systems. National Public Health Week, and I also attended with Mr. Daniel King, our GM evaluation, the West County mayors and county supervisors meeting where, again, as Director Wiener mentioned, they had the ISBEMAT presentation and the Board of Supervisors meeting, which for many of us should be interesting. There was a conversation about how they were going to organize the Office of the Auditor Controller and the Treasurer Tax Collector, and if those positions should be combined or kept separate. And they temporarily appointed a person for that, to fulfill those duties because the previous person left. So I don't know about you, but I'm interested in who's handling the auditor and the tax collector duties. I think that was really important for us. At that same meeting, Congressman DeSaulnier spoke and told us some of what's happening again, on the education and workforce and health employment. He's on the subcommittee for health, employment, labor, and pensions. And he's also on the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee and Water Resources and Environment Committee. So I was really interested in hearing that report. So he gave us a report on that and came back and gave us information on the community project funding and told us that right now, that we're looking at 26 and what we can do. They're going to start accepting new submissions. They will start accepting new submissions. So even though we heard different, we can look forward to putting in new submissions for 2026. And even though, we do have Congressman Garamendi, but I do want to make sure you guys know we can do new submissions. And I also attended the TWIC, the Transportation Water Infrastructure Committee meetings, the Hazardous Materials Commission, and the Community Advisory Board on Public Safety. And several of and in the NACWA Committee on Aging Infrastructure, our conversation about PFAS and water and wastewater affordability. And let me see, what else do I need to report real fast before I can get to these other things that I really want to talk about? May Day, I spoke at a May Day rally in San Francisco. I worked with the Watershed Project and Greenbelt Alliance at a May Day event. I attended the AC event with AWEA conference. And there's a lot of information from that. I'm not going to keep us here because I really want to talk about, Director King Meredith and I attended the West Contra Costa Unified School District's Women's Leadership Luncheon on the 26th. I'll just report it for you, since you missed it. And now, the one that I wanted to say is, and we also had an F&A committee meeting after our last board meeting. It was the day after our last board meeting. I'll report that one for her too, since she missed that one too. She always misses them. So can I just throw that one in? Director King Meredith was in with me, so she can have that one for the record. And then we attended last Saturday the event that Director King Meredith was talking about, was called In Living Color. It was a STEM community event. And it was very, very well attended. I got there at 9:30. We were setting up, and there was already a lot of tents setting up. But before 11, before they even opened, there was already a couple hundred children there. By the time we opened up, we looked up, and there was already 300 children there. There was like 300-400 children throughout the day. And as she said, boy, those little ankle grabbers wouldn't stop coming. It's my own fault, though, because we had a wheel, we had lollipops. The lollipops did it. And we had the little ducks in the water where you can pick the duck and you can get a prize. And thank you to Director King Meredith. So thank you. Oh, he left. Aaron and staff at the plant, they were brilliant. Got me these, they made these, it's like these, it looks like bumpers, but really it was to help simulate a levee system. right? So we had this simulated levee. So in my head, I knew what I was thinking about. We were trying to show the difference between what a toxic environment is like versus a clean environment. So you did this experiment where you would step into what we created looked like water. When you step on it, it hurts your feet because it would be like stones. So they would take their shoes off and they step on it. And they was like, oh, I say, it doesn't feel good, does it? It didn't really hurt, it's just uncomfortable. And then you step back onto the lawn and it feels good. So you step back on it. And then I would talk to them and tell them, there's the difference between toxic water or a toxic environment and a clean water environment. And then we would show them the glasses of the jars of water and tell them what we do. And then also on the table was a big jar, thank you again to Aaron, with a Barbie doll in it, a naked Barbie doll, to talk to them about the body is made primarily, and we made them guess, primarily of what percentage of water? 90% of water. So why did we showed them a whole bunch. There was a lot on the table, trust me, you guys, there's a lot on 2 tables. We could tell them, but it's so much easier. It was ingrained in their mind if you show them. Now they remember, right? And then fats, we had fats, oil, and grease. And so the parents, we would give them the cups after we talked to them about fats, oil, and grease. And then we had, they spun the wheel, they won prizes, they did all of this. And then I'll tell you one more story, and then I'll tell you why you have this little thing in your hand. They were able to win prizes. Thank you, Miss Kate and staff for getting me. I know she told me a lot of staff at the warehouse helped her, so staff at the warehouse, thank you very much for getting us lots of swag. So they won lots of swag, and they remember. They would do things like, oh, no, I know you don't pour things down the sink. You don't pour things down the toilet. I said, yes, of course. So let me ask you a question. This one guy, he said, his wife she knew better. She sit back and she watched him. Remember the 2 guys? It was 2 guys. And they said, oh, no, we don't pour things down the sink. And I said, oh, okay. I said, what's your favorite food? He said, I'm Italian. Of course, I'm Italian. I like pasta. I said, you like pasta? He said, I'm Italian. I like pasta. I said, okay, great. How many times a week do you eat pasta? He said, I'm Italian. I eat like 3, 4 times. I said, okay, great. You remember this? And I say, great. How you cook your pasta? I'm Italian. I put it in the pot. I put a little bit. I said, what do you add to it? I'm Italian. I add some olive oil. I said, okay, great. And then how do you, after you cook your pasta and you boil it, then what do? He said, now, mind you, he spent 5 minutes telling me he knows everything. He's not going to pour it down the sink. He knows not to pour it down the sink. He doesn't pour anything in the trash can. He knows what to do. I said, oh, really? He said, yes. His wife, who knew better, was standing backwards, watching him. And I said, great. So what do you do once the water's boiled? And he said, of course, I drain it. I said, really? How do you drain it? I pour it down the oil. Where? Down the sink. I said, what's in the water? The olive oil. What's olive oil? As I held up the cup that said fats, oils, and grease. And he said, but that doesn't count, does it? I said, of course it does. And his wife is telling him, she just told you not to pour it down the sink. And so I tell you guys that story, but I'm Italian. So my brother-in-law is Italian, and I had this same conversation with him. I tell you guys this story because everybody thinks they know better, right? And the other guy who was standing there was telling me he pours it down a plastic water bottle. I said, like the little Calistoga about, and it's hot, right? You don't think it's melting and all those gases and everything in that plastic water bottle, or your can the can that his corn came in with no lid, right? He said, yeah. I said, and then it spills over. Now it's in the bottom of your trash can. Now it's all gunky, right? And he said, yeah, but I just take it outside and rinse it out. And where does the water go? And his wife, down the sewer drain. I said, Why do you think we do? Read that sign. Waste County wastewater. Why do you think who's cleaning the sewer drain? And so it was a lesson. It wasn't just that we were spinning wheels and giving out toys and candy. They were learning because no one really, they're not thinking, right? They're not thinking that, oh, when I wash my car, where's the water going? Because they think, oh, I'm a good steward of the earth. I'm doing these good things. Where's the water going? So he asked me, he says, so when you boil your water and you what do you do with yours? And my daughter was laughing because I was telling her, she said, did you tell him where you pour your water? I said, I told him. I opened the window and I poured outside on the grass and I poured on the tree. And she said, I would have been able to tell him, she poured on the tree. The same thing she's telling you to do, which is true. I poured on the tree. I poured on the plant. And what I told him, he said, you don't. I said, yes, I do. I poured on the tree. I poured on the tree while my talk. And his wife was like, I'm going to do that from now on. So I tell you guys that because that's the lessons we're teaching people. Now, let me tell you what's in your package so we can go home. What you have in your hand is one of the gifts, the extra gifts that we gave to the children so we can walk our walk. It's a sustainability gift. You can open it up. Open it up. Open it up. I know. I hate the plastic. I hate it. It's Amazon. It's Amazon. But look at it. Look at it. You like it? Isn't it cool?
Nice.
Isn't it cool?
Very nice.
Now it's made out of seeds and it's made out of seeds and plants. Not hemp, no. But it's made out of plants.
Nice.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's all recyclable and made out of plants. So, this was one of the prizes that the children got, especially if they picked a duck. They were trying to keep our ducks. They want. Yeah, if they got the hand sanitizer with our logo or whatever. And then there was one child who picked the lucky duck, and he got a big. He got a big bag of everything. He was so happy. He was just a big, so. Anyway, that was it. We got lots of pictures and we'll get them to Miss Kate, but, that was, we had to like shut it down because everybody else's tent was down and it was like 4:15 and they kept coming and they were like, but I want to spin the wheel. And I said, but I want to go home. I've been here since 9:30. I need to leave, so.
So thank you for,
Es todo.
Thank you for your report, and I'm happy that you got to give the kids back.
Yes.
Yes, so before I get to my report, for years now, we've been talking about how important it is to educate ourselves as well as educate the public, and this is a prime example of educating the public. And I know that this is our last meeting for May, and we do have legislative days coming up, and perhaps Vice President Sadith could explain to the public what actually happens.
Yes. So in legislative days, we'll be there we'll be in Sacramento next Tuesday and Wednesday, and we will be taking the opportunity to speak to our state legislators about what it is that they can do to support some of the pending bills and upcoming bills that will help our community, and especially because we have National Public Health Week and Water Awareness Week coming up, and we have some really important bills coming into both the Assembly and the State Assembly and the State Senate. And so we will be going to, I don't like the word lobby, but I guess advocate, strongly advocate for support from our state legislators. And at the same time, we will be also asking them to, while they're in district, come visit us. Come visit us, see what we do, see what we're about, take a tour of the plant, and take a visit in the facilities and around the district so that they can get a good feel and look at what it is we do, but also why it's important to support bills like no wipes, the wipes labeling bill. This is how we were able to get it passed years ago. He's going up and consistently speaking directly with our legislators. And so for the public, just know that all of our work is not always done right here. Sometimes our work is in the halls of Sacramento, and sometimes it's done in the halls of DC. But this week, this upcoming week on the 20th and 21st, it'll be done right there in Sacramento, talking directly with our elected assembly members and our elected state senators. We won't just be asking what they can do for us, but what we can do to help them pass some of the legislation that we need passed to assist us.
Thank you. And for my report, I was in La Quinta, California at a conference, and in that conference, it was a classroom environment for 3 days straight, 8 hours a day from 8 to 4:30, and we learned a lot. We were taught by professionals. We were networking. There were people from all over California and different districts there, and we had lessons in evaluating our general manager, looking at our portfolio and understanding how it works, and it was terrific. So that's why education is so important, and I was able to pass out some of our pamphlets and impress some people with what we're doing here.
Nice.
And so that's why this legislative day kind of goes hand in hand in what we just did.
Nice.
Also, I attended the mayor's conference, like Director Alvarado here, Pleasant Hill Library, which is beautiful. East Bay Mud did talk about their aging infrastructure and how there will be some rate increases. And unfortunately, in California, we're going to be seeing a lot of rate increases. We may be even we will be increasing our rates because our infrastructure is old and it needs to be replaced and updated. Also, at the city council meeting, I was pleased that our Richmond city council, our city manager, kind of forecasted some of the issues that are coming our way from the federal government. And as a sanctuary city, our status may be pulled. Therefore, a lot of money would be lost and people may end up out on the street. Section 8 money may be pulled. There's just a whole list of things she was trying to bring the city council up to date on what they should be looking at in the future, because it is uncertain, and it's good to be prepared as much as you can. So I did appreciate her presentation, and they talked about the port and cyclovin, which is a bicycle gathering. They would shut down streets and have food vendors there, but that's projected to be a year from now, maybe two. They spoke about the general fund concerns, and I did meet with the city this week or last week, and we spoke about the Hilltop Horizon meeting, and there was a ton of density, and I spoke to our general manager and Justin here about the density issues that we may be facing, and do we have the capacity for all that density, and it's questionable. So, yeah, we will be meeting with Prologis tomorrow again to talk about what their plan is. We know what the city's planning, and they don't agree on it, and either does the community, so it's going to be interesting. With that, I guess I'll close my report and ask if anybody else has something to say before we throw it to the clerk?
I do have one thing.
Oh, Director Alvarado?
Sure. On May 13th, the IOE committee meeting, I believe we need to reschedule that for maybe the 20th because of the conference I'm going to be attending next week.
We'll be at Legislative Days on the 20th.
Yes. Oh, will ya?
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe we'll, 27th maybe.
Director King Meredith?
Yes, thank you, President Ratila. I would like to close this meeting in the honor of one of our well-known community leaders, advocate, retiree from Contra Costa County. His hard work for living in North Richmond, working in North Richmond, and continue to be a pillar for the North Richmond Neighborhood House Agency, trustee of the family of Davis Chapel, CME Church, well-known in many things that he's done over the years, of a good 60 years, that he worked in the community and in West Contra Costa and beyond. The passing of Mr. Lloyd Madden passed away today, this morning, and I would like to close this meeting in his memory, since we will not be meeting anymore this month, and to send condolences to the family at this time for his passing.
I agree. He was a good man, and our prayers and thoughts go out to the Madden family.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Clerk?
Okay, so there's a Finance and Administration Committee meeting scheduled for tomorrow at 9 a.m. Sounds like we're going to have to reschedule IOE that was scheduled for May 13th. And the next regular meeting is May 21. So we do have another meeting this month.
It wasn't on the calendar. I didn't see it on the calendar.
Okay, we'll look at it, but yeah, it's May,
But we'll be in Sacramento. Okay.
yeah,
Well, that's,
Just my correction.
then,
yeah, it ends, that May 21st ends early in Sacramento.
okay, good.
We'll make it, okay. Correct that, it is not the end.
Yeah. And then the last thing, just for President Rentila, I just wanted to let you know that the Zoom participation did get up to 10.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right.
Is there anything else? Thank you, and we'll talk about rescheduling the IOE here. I appreciate it. And the time is, it's May 7th, Wednesday night. It's about 8:28, and we close this meeting in honor of the Madden family and Lloyd Madden. Thank you. Yeah, no, it's not on the,
Well, that looked like it was today in the past meetings, but not future meetings.
right there, and then,
Because this one doesn't tell us the future. I think that it just looks at current. You guys have a swag of
well, even when I went to the, yeah, when I went to the agenda and the calendar,
We couldn't even breathe.
Believe that.
We couldn't even go get our food. Chairs coming like this.
You were
Like this, coming like this.
And what was showing? Appreciate it.
Oh. Color, yeah.
Science and
Yes,
technology.
yeah, I went to home and looked at the calendar itself. Let's see.
Fairly. I only got fairly. That means
This is good swag.
well, actually, here's it was
Like right here, see right there?
they're made from seeds.
They're still they're
Yeah.
they're a form of plastic, but do they break, how fast?
It's on the actual calendar?
No, yeah, well, see, it's made from organic.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
You know, like, see, you know, you remember the cups that we brought in that was made by sugar cane?
The May 7th is right today.
Plants, just like that.
But
Yeah.
is this,
Hey, all I know is I'll be here.
If you scroll, does it show you that?
how fast does it break down?
Oh.
No idea.
It should be pretty durable.
I thought I went to the calendar and it didn't, it should,
In organic,
see?
Nicole.
brown oil. Organic chemistry.
That's, yeah, that's been a problem too, especially on, like Microsoft.
And that carbon, yeah, carbon, break down the carbon, yeah.
Well, it was just all about reforming, reformulating, moving bonds. It's all about carbon. And the reason
yeah.
was because that's what oil is primarily made of, is carbon. So they wanted us all to know
Yeah.
how to make stuff.
Oh, that's
with
your
carbon.
bio, that's when you put bio.
Yeah. So that was that's what carbon. That's what we learned about in.
So I will leave this with you.
Carbon, carbon, carbon.
And,
So when I see stuff like
like I
this,
say, thank you for
I
the service.